All right, when I say furnace, what pops into your head? Probably a big metal box, right? One that burns gas and blasts out that super hot, dry air. It's the standard we've known for decades. But what if I told you the next big thing in furnaces has nothing to do with making the fire hotter? In fact, it's about getting rid of that direct fire completely. Yeah, you heard me right. We're going to dive into a new piece of tech that does exactly that.
So let me ask you this. What if your furnace worked more like a boiler? I know, that sounds kind of weird. Furnaces are for air, boilers are for water. They're like two totally different animals in the HVAC world. But just think about it. Imagine that cozy, even heat you get from old-school radiators. That's a hydronic system, that's hot water heat, but coming out of the vents you already have in your house. That's the wild idea we're digging into today. And here's where it gets really interesting. The company behind this new furnace, it's Navien. Now, if that name rings a bell, it's probably because you know them for their super efficient tankless water heaters and boilers. These guys are the experts in heating water, not air. So you gotta know, when a company like that decides to build a furnace, it's not gonna be your granddad's old clunker. It's gonna be something completely different.
All right, so let's pull back the curtain and see exactly how they've reimagined what a furnace can be using everything they know about heating water.
Okay, so here's the absolute biggest difference. Your standard furnace, it's direct fire. That means you've got gas burners heating up metal, and all the air for your house blows right over that scorching hot surface. The Navien Hydro Furnace, totally different playbook. The flame is completely sealed off in its own little chamber, and its only job is to heat up water. Then, that hot water is what warms the air. The flame and the air you breathe, they never, ever meet.
So the secret is water. But how does that actually work? How do you get from a tank of hot water to a warm, cozy house? Let's break it down.
At its heart, the hydro furnace is really just three key things packed into one smart box. First, you've got a mini boiler. It uses what's called condensing technology, which is just a fancy way of saying it's incredibly efficient because it squeezes every last bit of heat out of the exhaust. Second, there's a hot water coil. And the easiest way to picture this is like the radiator in your car. Same idea. And third, a super efficient variable speed blower. Basically, it's a smart fan that can speed up or slow down as needed. Put it all together, and you've got a self-contained hot water heating plant that hooks right up to your existing ductwork.
And the way it works is honestly really simple and pretty clever. Step 1, the boiler heats up a small amount of water. Step 2, a little pump starts circulating that hot water through the coil, the car radiator thing. And finally, step 3, the smart blower gently moves air across that warm coil, heating it up before sending it through your vents. See? It's an indirect heating process. And that one simple fact, well, it changes absolutely everything.
Okay, so this whole indirect heating thing isn't just a cool party trick. It leads to some massive real-world benefits, both for how comfortable your house feels and, yeah, for your wallet too.
Let's kick things off with the headline number, 97%. That is its efficiency rating. So what does that mean in plain English? For every single dollar you spend on natural gas, 97 cents of it turns directly into heat for your home. Only 3 cents get wasted. That is just top-of-the-line efficiency. And it's all thanks to that smart condensing tech we talked about.
The source material had a great way of putting this. It said that traditional furnaces create this comfort wave. You know what they mean, right? The furnace blasts on, your house gets almost too hot, then it shuts off and gets cold. Then blasts on again. Hot, cold, hot, cold. Well, the whole point of this new design is, and I quote, to flatten that comfort wave out by giving you a much more consistent, gentle heat.
And this is how it does it. A normal furnace is basically a light switch. It's either 100% on or it's off. That's it. The hydro furnace, though, it can modulate. Think of it like a dimmer switch. It can dial its power all the way down to just 15% of its full blast. So instead of those harsh on-off cycles, it can just cruise along for long, quiet periods at a really low level, giving your home exactly the amount of heat it needs, no more, no less.
But the good stuff doesn't even stop there. And this next part is huge for a lot of people. Because you're not blowing air over a red-hot surface, it doesn't bake all the moisture out of the air. We saw a story from one user who said with his old furnace, he could never get the humidity in his house above 30%. It was just chronically dry. With this new system, he was easily sitting at a comfortable 40 to 50%. Plus, because the fan is running more often, but gently, your air filter is constantly working, which means you're getting cleaner air too.
Okay, so better efficiency, better comfort, less dry air, those are all fantastic. But honestly, they're only half the story.
The feature that is truly revolutionary, the real game changer here, is how this furnace plays with other tech, specifically with heat pumps.
So for a long time now, you've been able to get what's called a dual fuel or hybrid system. That's where you have an electric heat pump for the cool days and a gas furnace for when it gets brutally cold. But here's the catch, and it's always been the big limitation. Only one of them can run at a time. It's either the heat pump or the furnace. The furnace is just a backup waiting on the sidelines.
But this is different. And it all comes back to how it heats the air. Remember how a traditional furnace blasts that super hot air? Well, a heat pump's indoor coil just can't handle that kind of intense heat. But because the hydro furnace is using that gentler, lower temperature hot water, it doesn't create that problem.
And this, right here, is the magic trick. The hydro furnace can run simultaneously with a heat pump. They can work together at the exact same time. The heat pump can be doing, say, 90% of the heating, and the furnace just gently adds that little extra 10% you need to stay perfectly comfortable when it's freezing outside. It's not a backup anymore, it's a partner.
When you look at it like this, you can really see the evolution of heating. You had heat pumps with those old clunky electric heat strips. Then came today's dual fuel systems, which are good, but they're stuck in that either-or mode. This new ability for them to work simultaneously, this is the next logical jump forward. This is a true hybrid system that finally solves that cold weather performance problem.
So, what does this all add up to? What does this mean for the future of how we heat our homes? Let's take a step back and look at the big picture.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. Here's why this breakthrough really matters. For one, it makes high-efficiency heat pumps a real, practical option even in super cold climates. We're talking minus 10 degrees or even lower, where they used to struggle. As more and more people are looking to electrify their homes, this offers a solution that doesn't force you to sacrifice comfort when the temperature plummets. It's not about picking sides between gas and electric anymore. It's about making them work together smarter.
So by borrowing an idea from the world of boilers and applying it to a forced air furnace, Navien has created something that really challenges what we thought a furnace had to be. And it leaves us with a pretty interesting question, doesn't it? Could heating our air with water actually be the key to a more comfortable, more efficient future for all of us?